The thing that I love about the Wise Guys teams is that you guys have a knack for finding the most passionate founders. They know what they're doing, they believe in what they're doing, and nothing is going to stop them.
It is really intense, I have to say, but I really enjoy it because I feel every day I'm totally evolving in this program, and I see that I have so many weapons already.
It's challenging at times. We come with a strong background of doing a lot of things at once, but it's just amazing to be next to the teams, showing all the creativity you can to help them. So it's not something you have to deliver, it's very creative work, and that's what I'm very surprised that I really like it.
I think the best of the people part always. You already know everything, but here the borders are infinite, just so much things to learn.
One of them is the passion, and the other one is how much we care about each other. Among everything, we are a team that really likes to spend time with each other, and part of that is because we all share the mission.
Because I always had a feeling that this is the family that I have.
This is not a job, this is what we love to do. I think when you can mix that one, it's great. We just have to sometimes understand that hey, there is more people around us, that we have to put some time for them.
For us, it was mainly like a crash course startup MBA, basically, kind of. It's kind of like a bottle of good wine, kind of that keeps getting better all the time.
I mean, Wise Guys team is what keeps me energized through everyday life. When I started working with the startup scene, Wise Guys was my kind of entryway, so I feel like it's a family. I'm like an adopted startup Wise girl.
I just remember one scene from the Tech Chill 2 months ago when you had the demo day with Swedbank. Nearly all the startups were nearly crying when they said goodbye to the mentors. You know, they can really feel the energy, and I think culture beats everything. And I also see Wise Guys as an execution machine.
Yeah, and people ask that why do you do that? There is no money, and very many accelerators have failed after a year or two. I believe that if you really want to do it, if it's your vision, and then you just can't give up, and you will figure it out how it works.
And you have to pitch at the big stage, right?
Yes. My hands are already shaking.
It's too easy for us because this whole month startup Wise Guys, every day we preaching. It's easy for us.
Now we are only going up, and only the sky is the limit.
This is love for what we do at the end of the day, and this is our life that we want to have.
I already know that when it's over, then I'm gonna cry.
3 minutes of station, now back to work.
Welcome everyone to Startup Wise Guys live Q&A about Wise Guys SaaS Africa program. I'm Louisa. I'm here with these awesome people here, and we are ready to answer any question you have about the upcoming program. Few rules from my side. We see that you are already joining and leaving your comments. Please do that. And if you have any question, no matter where you're watching, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, comment section is the place where you can ask any question. We see them on our side, and we will make sure to answer them. Now, a quick round of the other awesome people here. Maybe Petra, a quick introduction from you, and then we move to others.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Louisa, and welcome everybody. My name is Petra Wolkenstein. I'm general partner of Startup Wise Guys for the Africa Fund. We'll discuss a little bit more about this today. I've been working with Startup Wise Guys for the last 5 years. I had a look, mainly in the area of fundraising and negotiations. And my role at the moment is, together with my 2 co-general partners, to lead the Africa initiative. Pleasure to be here today.
Darja, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm Darja. I have been with Startup Wise Guys for 3 years, a little bit less than Petra here. And for first 2, I actually helped run the programs. So I've been a program manager. I know that part quite well. And for the past year, I've been a part of the scouting department, so I know all the processes and I can answer any of your questions that are related to that topic.
Thank you. And Ibrahim, a special guest in the first time we have a special guest in our Q&A.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ibrahim. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Delali, an income and expense management tool for businesses in Africa, and one of the portfolio companies in SWG. We went through the program and recently and finished this year. And yeah, it's nice meeting you. And thanks for inviting me.
Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, as long as we will talk about all the processes and everything in the program setup, Ibrahim is going to be the one who will be able to tell us how it really feels to go through the program and what you can learn and what you can get out of it. But maybe let's start. So I have a couple of my questions here, but as I said, if you have anything, write them. We will concentrate more on your questions as we want to answer what you want to know. But let's start, Petra, with you. Maybe you can tell us a little bit. So Wise Guys SaaS Africa, you mentioned also Africa Fund. What is it, how it all started, and whom is it for?
Oh, a lot of questions. So how did it start? We have been doing some business in Western Africa and Eastern Africa for the last 2 years. And also in the southern part. But then beginning of this year, we decided to do this seriously. We think there is a place for us to support entrepreneurs and startups. And this is the reason why we started with the Africa Fund of Startup Wise Guys. And we decided to run 3 programs for SaaS during the upcoming 18 months, but that for us is just the beginning. There will be more later on. The question was, who is this program for, Louisa, right?
Yeah.
So we are coming from a background of first believers in entrepreneurs. This is our approach. And this is also the reason why we do really early stage investments and running programs for early stage startups. Our focus is digital business models, mainly in the B2B section, not so much B2C. Very often there is also B2B2C business models, which are also attractive, but it's mainly B2B, digital business models in the SaaS area, so software as a service. We are taking on startups in the English spoken areas of Eastern and Western Africa, mainly focusing on Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, and Ghana. Startups who might be eligible for investment in the program should have initial traction, a solid team, and focus on 6 verticals. And the 6 verticals are fintech, agriculture tech, education tech, and retail tech, which also covers logistics topics, and clean tech and health tech. So those are our main areas, but still we are looking for B2B SaaS startups.
And maybe you can also mention a little bit so when does the program start? Right now applications are open, but what are maybe the most important dates that startups need to keep in mind? We will remind them during this Q&A, but yeah, let's mention
yes, for sure.
as well.
So as Louisa correctly said, we have kicked off applications for our first program, batch number 1, although Startup Wise Guys has nearly 50 batches already, but for this region, it's our first one. Applications are open. We will run a 5-month intensive acceleration program, which will start in February. So between now and February, we are taking on applications, scouting, discussing with startups. If we encounter startups that are a little bit too early for our accelerator that starts in February, we have an online pre-program, which is already starting now. So there is the opportunity for startups that are applying during this week and next week still to join us also on the pre-program, which is an 8 weeks program. If we talk about milestones, applications are open until January. Core program will start in February. Still, there is a chance if you apply earlier to be with us and use our mentor networks and the program that we have already now for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah, so we actually have the link here on our live stream. Whenever you can find also more information there, but if you're interested, just go out there, you will find the apply link and just apply. And the sooner we start talking to you, the sooner you can also know if you will be able to get to be a part of the program. So actually on this, I will poke you a little bit more, Petra, about the whole process. So how many startups actually get to go through the program a little bit in this scouting process? So how many startups get to go through the OPA, and what is the final number maybe?
So we are going to run several batches, but the program we are talking now about is the core program that will start in February. We will invest in 10 to 12 startups to join us for this program in February. Still, this means that before we are scouting and talking to a lot more startups, so we are in scouting procedures over the upcoming month. It's about 200 that we are looking at, discussing in several steps until we finally decide to invest at the moment into 10 to 12 to be with us during the first half of next year. The online program, the pre-program that we are running at the moment is up for maximum 20 startups. So this is an opportunity to get a first look and feel how we are working. We can have discussions with you. We get to know you also better. So it has a mutual advantage now.
Thank you. And we actually have one question that we can tackle right now. How can you apply for the Pre-Accelerator Program? The same link, go and apply for the big program. It's part of the selection process. So follow the SaaS Africa link on our website and just apply there, and we will direct you in the right path. Another question that I had, it's very important. We are talking about program, but what else is there that startups get? So a big part is the acceleration program, and then there's the investment deal. So maybe you can explain a bit of that. How big is it? What are the terms of the deal itself as well?
So one thing is the program, like Louisa correctly mentioned, has 2 parts, right? What I have not mentioned so far is an aftercare support that we are providing to members of the program, which is after the program ends, we still do business developments, fundraising support, sales support with our network and with our venture partners. So the program end is not the end of working together. There, an intensive collaboration is still on, and maybe Ibrahim can also tell us later a little bit how that works. We call it aftercare. Apart from program and aftercare, the program is an equity-based program. So the first part is equity-free, but the second part where we invest starting from February comes with a fund. So what you would get if we invest is a potential of 65,000 euros of capital, plus a potential follow-on investment after the program with our investor community and other funds that we're having of potentially another 250,000 euro.
Thank you. And now I would like to jump on Darja. To get into the program, you have to go through a selection process that has many steps. So Darja, can you kind of take us on, if you filled in the application, what happens next? What are the steps taken? With how many people startups get to talk, and all of that?
Yes, so we try to make this process as friendly as possible and as smooth as possible for everyone. So after you apply, within about 2 weeks, this is usually it happens faster. We reach out to you, and usually we ask any questions that might have left unanswered based on your application. And then with all the startups that are eligible for the program, the criteria was already mentioned by Petra. We usually proceed to the next step, and the next step is the pitch day. The pitch day is our internal event. This is done over Zoom. Everything, all the steps are happen online. I think this is interesting for everyone to know. No need to go anywhere. Everything is purely online, and we run the pitch days. This is the event we have each week. We invite up to 10 startups. And the process is quite simple. The startups have time, about 3 minutes, to present their business, and then the jury, aka the batch team involving Petra as well, and the scouting department ask any questions that might have still been unanswered. And then at the end, we decide with whom we are going to proceed for more in-depth due diligence process. If you haven't been selected during this time, it doesn't mean that we just forget about you. As Petra mentioned, we plan to have more programs, and we usually stay in touch with most of the startups who are eligible, and we try to help them also along the way with our pre-acceleration programs. We stay in touch, and then we might reach out to you again. And if you are selected to go into more due diligence process, it usually involves the technical call, because we do invest into the technical startups, so we need to check that part. Also, the startups go through the calls with managing director of the program. This person usually checks the business aspect, the background of the team, and then the startups go for the partner calls. So it's usually Petra or the other partners who are also involved. We might also ask some of our experts to have calls with you. It's usually based on the type of business you're doing. If we need some external perspective, we might reach out and ask for that. And at the end of this due diligence process, we run the selection bootcamp, because we need to narrow down from about 200 startups to about 10 to 12. So we run 3 selection bootcamps within the program. For the Africa program, we actually might have 4, because the process is quite long. And at the same time, we have a lot of startups who want to work with us. So we might do the 4th, and the bootcamps happen throughout the program. And we also invite about 10 startups to participate in each bootcamp. And then already a bigger pool of our partners and experts participate. It's about 20 experts and Wise Guys team during that day for the startups. And then you do usually your demo of the product, again, one by one, with jury asking questions at the end. And then the second part of the day is dedicated for one-on-ones. So you get to meet about 20 mentors and partners of Wise Guys. And usually within the next week, we reach out to the ones who are selected, and then we start the paperwork, basically. And those who were not selected, either we stay still in touch for the next programs, or it's case by case. It depends how the selection turns out for you.
Thank you. Petra, you maybe wanted to, I saw you unmuting. You wanted to mention something? No? Okay. I want to actually ask Ibrahim on this. Do you remember how did your selection process look like? Maybe like a little bit of a glimpse. How is it for a startup founder? When do you apply and everything, and all those calls? How was it for you?
It was interesting, but it depends on where you want me to start from, because I can tell you a very long story from the online, how we go into the pre-acceleration program before we go into the main program itself, and the kind of sort of rejection. So everything that you guys have mentioned, we experienced all that, and the most surprising thing for us was getting accepted into the program itself. So we started first by applying for the online pre-acceleration program. And after a few months, I know that there wasn't, it was until around June or early, I think late May, that we started speaking with the scouts. That's Darja and her crew with Karina and I think Agna in Lithuania. So the process was more like we submitted our pitch deck, and we were invited for different meetings. The first meeting was just like, let's get to know each other, let's get to know who you are, what you're doing, understand the concept, whether it makes any sense at all, how strong is your team, just those kind of general questions. Then we moved on to the next stage, which was more of a technical session where they're looking at, okay, what exactly do you have, or what exactly have you done so far? Whether we have the technical understanding of everything. And I think after that we met with again, like the head of scouting, who is very experienced, asked us a lot of questions. Most of the meetings lasted between 20 and 30 minutes, maximum of 30 minutes. And for the online pre-acceleration, it wasn't too difficult to get in. I think it lasted about, I think that we went through 4 steps or so. I mean, 4 meetings, and that was it. We got accepted. So that's about the pre-acceleration program. Then, if we move on to the main program, first of all, we finished the pre-acceleration program and applied for one of the batches. Unfortunately, we did not make it. The good thing about everything is that you always get feedback. So we received feedback saying, hey guys, we're sorry, you didn't make it to this batch, but we think you have a great idea. Will you like to apply for a new program that is coming up? First of all, that rejection, and one of the things that we've been able to deal with rejection. So usually you get rejected, and I'm from Africa. When you get rejected, it's like the end of the world. So we got rejected, felt really bad, but I was like, look, they're saying it's not the end, it's just the beginning. And they're saying, hey, you can apply. And I'm like, what if we get rejected again? I was like, what if you get accepted? So we accepted to apply for the new program, which we did, and went through another series of meetings, so to speak, which I'll be happy to share more later.
Thanks a lot. I actually, on this note, so to everybody who is listening, I'm one thing again reminding that you can ask your questions in the comments, so we see that you're writing, but also on what Ibrahim mentioned, if you're thinking to apply or not to apply now, apply today, and the sooner you start the process, the sooner you start learning, finding new things about your own product, getting feedback and things like that, and you can even move forward with your own product regardless of how and where do you move forward with us. So important points here on what Ibrahim mentioned.
Can I add something?
Yeah,
Two
sure.
things. Mirroring what Luisa just said, if you're thinking of applying, do it as soon as possible. As you can see, we have a process in place, and this is also beneficial for you to go through it smoothly and at the right time, and not when everyone in the rush, because we all love applying during the deadline time. So deadline is tomorrow and I have to apply today. So if you are thinking of applying, do it as soon as possible. Then we all will have more time to work with you and actually get to know you better, which in turn gives you more opportunity to actually get selected. And the second part I wanted to mention that for Ibrahim, I think it was more of a hybrid, because we use the pre-acceleration program also as a tool to help potential startups to get even better and to faster achieve the level we're looking for. But usually there are no interviews to get into the pre-acceleration program. So we usually start with the pitch day. We see the potential and we see how we can help. And usually then we invite you to join the pre-accelerator. And then during the pre-acceleration, we can either just observe how it's all going. And then at the end, we can decide how we are proceeding, or if we see that the startups are delivering and actually very passionate and eager to do things, we can start the due diligence process in parallel. So you are in the pre-accelerator and we're already scheduling extra calls with you. So just not to confuse anyone, there are no interviews and long process to get into the pre-accelerator. We try to be very dynamic and do some stuff in parallel, so to speed up the processes as well. That's it.
For sure. Thank you. Yep, Ibrahim wanted to mention something.
If I must say, one of the things that for me really stood out was when I was applying initially. First of all, I didn't want to apply. I mean, typical me, yes, I've run businesses before. I'm like, look, I don't need anyone to tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. So I applied, right? I mean, why I applied was that, first of all, I felt I didn't have a complete product before applying. So we had the idea, we had started building, but we didn't have anything complete. Now, from where I come from, it's a lot easier to have a conversation when you have a perfect product. So having to unthink that process, I felt that I was going to be rejected anyway. But after listening to and speaking to someone in particular, that Alexa, I was talking with her, but just at an event that we happened to meet. And I said, oh, I don't think I'm ready. And she's like, look, you'll never be ready. Apply now. I said, no, maybe we'll apply next year. Next year meaning 2021. And she was like, no, apply now. This was February 2020. So that was what really pushed us to say, okay, you know what? We've got nothing to lose. Let's even try. And by the time we got into the first program, we were just building our products. We were not ready for, to get, so we understood why we got rejected, at the first stage. And by the time we were doing the next meeting, we had made a lot of progress. And the beauty of the startup world is that every month, your business or your startup changes. So you're making a lot of progress in between those periods where you are even applying that. By the time you started an application and by the time you're ending, you see a lot of progress as a startup. So I just wanted to chip that in.
Yeah, thank you. I actually wanted to also ask to you, because as Darja also explained and Petra also mentioned it, application process is for us Startup Wise Guys to get to know the teams and understand, okay, what is the fit, who fits our program, and then how we can we work together. But how it was for you to kind of evaluate us, because it's often said that it's not always that the accelerator is for all of the startups. So how the selection process maybe helped to understand, yes, it seems that this is something that can help my startup to build it, to make progress, etc. So maybe there are some points there that others can listen to and take notice of.
Yeah. Can I just quickly say, first of all, one of the biggest advantages for me and our team in terms of, again, I'll hammer on the pre-acceleration first, was that there was no equity required. I mean, the accelerator is not taking any equity. I'm not collecting any, when we weren't getting any funding, but we got access to a lot of resource people who helped us through the process. So it actually helped us in making a decision, a more purposeful decision to say, okay, I've gone through this pre-acceleration program, and if in 7 weeks we have been able to grow our startup from pre-MVP to launching an MVP to having users, right? In that short period of time, imagine what you get when you go through the whole program itself. And that really helped us in making that decision to actually be more, determined to get into the program.
Thank you. And talking about the real big program. Petra, going back to you, maybe you can explain a bit more in depth. So how does the full-time program that happens after the Pre-Accelerator, how does it look like? What do startups get to learn during that program? What are the topics that we are covering, and so on?
Yes, my pleasure. I'm so fascinated listening to Ibrahim, but let's switch very briefly the topic.
We will go back to him.
Yes, please. Thank you. On the program, starting from February, it's 5 months. It is fully online, like Darja mentioned, so it's a need to have a very good internet connection. What happens there is the following. We have several pillars of where we center topics around. So we have stuff on company building, so apart from the product functioning company. We have a second pillar on sales and marketing, how to professionalize sales and structure for scaling. The third pillar is about fundraising and pitching, because we have the experience that not just after the program, already during the program startups start the fundraising process and would like to professionalize this. Because resource is scarce, it's better to do it fast, right? And the fourth pillar is about product building. Sounds like no product there, not true. You will have a functional MVP when you enter the program, but we are still working with you, with the experts on product building. So, but how does this happen? Yeah, it's not a pure education thing, whatever. It's very much centered around intense collaboration with our mentors that we have internationally, but also locally. They do short workshops and then they do one-on-one sessions. So it's a very close collaboration where we discuss individually your situation and work with you. Then we do sprint weeks, which are centered around one particular topic, and we really jointly in the batch make the progress that we see results. So it's not education, it's doing stuff jointly with the group and together with the input of the experts. You have in between dedicated implementation time so that we really do cycles of improvements. I mentioned here also a little bit the mentors we are working with. I forgot to mention in the beginning on what people get when they join us in Startup Wise Guys and We Invest. We have more than 200 mentors and more than 500 alumni people we have invested in with their startups. So there is access to those mentors during the topic areas and the one-on-ones. I want to mention specifically a couple of people so that you get an impression, who is that anyhow, those mentors? So for example, Atman Ali, he has joined us recently. He's based in Eastern Africa, Rwanda, and Kenya. He's an investor with the Impact Accelerator 1000 Alternatives and the Company Builder. So highly experienced, super nicely networked ecosystem player. So for business development, sales, feedback, excellent. Another example is Seuno Joe. He's based in Nigeria. He's a venture architect and a product manager working also with an international organization. So he's also one example of a person you would work with. From the international side, let me, for example, mention Patrick Collins. He's a very long-term coach working with us. He's CEO at Prospect Labs, and let me put it frankly, he's a no bullshit sales expert, and we are so happy to have him with us and pushing startups really to jointly get the next steps done. So just to give a little bit of an impression of real people, not just the mentor network.
I saw Ibrahim
Smiling. Yeah, I saw it
smiling
too.
when you mentioned Patrick, because I think a very, very important thing when you get to work with Patrick, it's not only working on your sales and everything, you also get to dance, for example, as Ibrahim knows that part very well, because our acceleration programs, it's not just work, it is work, but it's also fun, and it's also the connections that you get actually on the human side and everything. And if you joined us at the beginning of our, you saw the short movie, and the work fun balance is very strong, that we try to keep up as much as possible at the Wise Guys, and especially sustainability batch, from which is Ibrahim, showed everybody else the example of how to keep up the fun part with some dance challenges. But on this note, maybe Ibrahim, you can tell us a bit more, and also the listeners. So how was your experience during the program? Maybe which a couple of as well mentors that helped you the most, and what you gained, and which parts of your product or like sales that you developed the most, and yeah, some of those things, and about the dancing as well, if you can share.
Okay. I'm laughing because now I'm looking back and I can smile that I went through the program and experienced everything. Where do I start from? So I'll start from the serious side and end on the unserious, or the fun side, not unserious. The program itself, it's very intense. There's a lot of information that is provided during the different segments or that happen, from, like you mentioned, from the sprint weeks to market engineering to growth, team building, most especially team building, your mental well-being in terms of how you manage yourself. That it was quite interesting. We met a diverse, when it comes to mentor network, really large. We had so many experts, and the beauty of it was I was able to connect with most of them on LinkedIn, and it's very, very easy that even if I need help today, I can reach out to them. But focusing on the program itself, when we started, the most important thing was that we had meetings with the batch managing director, where we said, okay, we're going to set goals that you need to achieve, or you set for yourself. It's not that the program says you must set these goals and achieve them, but it's more like you set these goals as a business, and let's review them. And when we set our goals, we sat with the managing director on a one-on-one call, and she looked at some of our goals and said, okay, these are very good. However, this particular goal that you set, from my experience, it's very difficult to achieve. So it's something that you need to think through properly. And we're like, no, she doesn't know what she's saying. Don't worry, we'll do it. And she said, okay, fine. I mean, I'll wager you, if you are able to achieve it, we'll give you a special present. I was like, great. I mean, challenge accepted. And after the first month of all the engagements and everything, my co-founder, Pooja, called me and said, you know what, we need to review these goals. So we went back to review them, and what was most important was that type of expectation has helped us in even managing ourselves moving forward, and especially after the program. That's one. In terms of the sessions, we had them mostly on Zoom. It was quite easy to interact. Some of the sessions are usually 1 hour to 1.5 hours. And on the special program days like sprint weeks or market engineering weeks, they're sessions that last over like a whole week to develop. So we did that. We focused a lot on marketing growth, personal development, personal branding, communications, speaking with investors, how to scout for investors. There were a lot of things that we did over that time. And one of the most interesting was the part of really being organized as a startup. And that's something that I think we all overlook. Initially, when we started that, it was like, okay, this sounds very bougie, very kumbaya-ish, that, oh, why are you talking about your vision, your mission? Yes, but it was a deeper dive into it. And it all connected with everything in terms of your well-being, what you like to do, what you don't like doing, and just sitting down and defining those responsibilities, so to speak, has helped us as a startup, because there's certain things that I don't like to do, although it's my responsibility as CEO to do it. And my co-founder, she loves to do that. At the end of the day, we were able to sit down and sort of negotiate that, okay, when it comes to this, I know my role is this, but can you handle that? And the answer is, sure, no problem. And same thing, and vice versa, it's the opposite for me. So these were some of the things that we did. We learned how to pitch, from 1 minute pitch to 30 seconds to, elevator pitches to, communicating with investors, among other things. And in between all that intense work, there was always Fridays for us. That's special with our own batch that somebody was so stressed up. It was Darja. She was so worked up that her co-founders decided to make a video where they were doing kung fu fighting or something. And she pushed up the challenge, and that's how we started, that every Friday we used to dance. And I remember I'm a very serious-minded person. And so it's very difficult for my wife to get me to do anything social, so to speak. And all of a sudden, I'm in SWG and I'm attending Zumba sessions and dancing with everyone. So that was a lot of fun. So in between the seriousness, they try to at least balance it out with a lot of fun. They try to make you relax and really have fun. And the most important thing for us is that one of the goals that we wanted to achieve was defining ourselves, right? And we had 1 week with Cristobal where it was a market engineering week, and he did a presentation and said, oh, there's this group. He gave us an example that you start your marketing engineering week as you've defined yourself as A. By the time you get out of marketing engineering week, you may define yourself as, H. Completely different. You do a 180. And again, keep an open mind. We tried it, and guess what? We finally were able to define our products, our business, a lot clearer than what we had before Market Engineering Week.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that we will end, when we get to the end of this Q&A, we will show that sustainability batch video at the end, so you know what you are getting into when you become a part of Wise Guys batch. But you will also get to hear feedback from a bit of other startups. But it has been special. One important thing that I also wanted to ask, it goes kind of both to you, Petra, and Ibrahim. So this is our first program in Africa, and we are a European accelerator more. So maybe some points on why it's worth joining us, and we are building and broadening our network in Africa as well, but how this maybe internationality can be an extra add-on or something. So maybe you want to touch upon that a little bit, because we are maybe not that well known. So some points on this. Maybe Petra, you want to start on it?
Yes, my pleasure. Okay. Good. There is, in this international setup, there is one question I want to tackle at the beginning that it is always coming up. The question is, if I am as a startup am joining Startup Wise Guys, do they push me to go to markets in Europe, international, whatever? No, we don't push. It's important that you enter the markets that fit best to your target audience and to your product. So we are with you on your internationalization journey, but in most cases this would mean entering another and a third and a fourth African country, not about Europe. Still, the asset that we are bringing in is that we have an international investor base in our background. So we are bringing them for potential follow-on investments, which I think is quite a nice thing, because we still have this gap that the follow-on investments are a little bit dry ground. So this is where we can bring stuff. In addition, we are not working alone. We are working with several collaboration partners in a very close collaboration in Eastern and Western Africa. We are still pushing this for more, but we have the vision that the combination of experts from other countries plus experts from where you are working, where your home market is, or the second market you want to enter, that this combination is really a good one, and that's what we are bringing to the table.
Thank you. Maybe Ibrahim, something from your side to add on this.
Yeah, a long list. So our business was not from day one, and this is a very interesting story. And why we weren't particularly interested in applying to any accelerator in the first place was that, yes, we were like, hey, we're doing business in Africa. Why would anyone want to accelerate us, especially accelerators that are focused on, for example, Europe? You know, it was a question that I kept asking myself. However, there are a number of advantages that we got to see. So I've been operating in Africa all my life, in Nigeria all my life, and I've been in the tech space. I think I spoke to Petra about this in the past, that one of the things that's missing in the market is access to a larger pool of expertise or subject matter experts. Startups are beginning to grow. Technology is growing very quickly in Africa. But there are other markets that have had more experience regarding some of these, what will I call them? Some of these challenges that every startup goes through. And being able to tap into that knowledge pool is something that, cannot be overstated. Because you can imagine meeting like the amazing growth hackers like Patrick or like Maria, and they have that experience. They're experts in Africa, no doubt about it. But because of the many years of experience, they are able to share that, and I am able to take that and adapt that to the realities of the market. And those realities, and we've seen that some of these and a lot of what we've discussed and gotten support from, we've seen that they work. So we understand that the world is truly a global village. That's one. Number two is I'll come to number two last. We like to call it item 7. That's the food part. So the experience of the experts. That large expert network, and mind you, SWG has experts that understand the African market. So one of the sessions, the speed mentoring sessions that we had, we spoke to an expert who knew Africa. And we were like, oh, we're going to start and we're going to put in our price wall. We're doing this, that. The guy laughed and looked and said, are you sure you want to do that? And we're like, yeah. And he was like, well, from his experience, this is the biggest challenge that is in the African market. It's not peculiar to Nigeria or Kenya. It's all over the African market. So I would really like to understand how this works or how you make that work. And if you need any other support, get back to me. And we tried it. We saw that it didn't work. That is the kind of insight that person already has about the market in Africa. Thirdly, the network, like I said. We've been able to meet. So, for example, when we were about to change our business model, we spoke with Cristobal and said, hey, this is a challenge we're having. And he was like, okay, you know what? You need to speak to 2 people. And he linked us to 2 people in Nigeria, right? Who on a normal day, I probably would not have been able to reach. And when we spoke to one of the people, she gave me 30 minutes of her time. All the information we got, immediately speaking to her, that 30 minutes was a game changer, because it influenced our decision making in terms of our business model. And immediately after that call, our growth in terms of our numbers just went up like this vertically, and our numbers started doubling by the day. We're like, we didn't see this coming, So that's one. I can go on and on. The investor network, SWG has a very good investor network, good contacts. We've benefited or are in the middle. I won't talk too much about it because we've just been signing, and I don't want to get too many calls for requests. But we've been able to connect heavily with the investor network, and between July and now we've been connected to more than 8 investors here in Europe, and we've been able to sign off investments with them. And these are things that we wouldn't have been able to do without the SWG network. And finally, funding. So at the startup stage, I can remember when we were trying to even get some money. I'm putting in all our money into the business, and you're looking for an early stage investor that believes in you, right? And SWG did that. It said, okay, we're investing X amount of money. I think at the time 55K. That's why when Petra was saying 65K euros in the African market, I was like, wow, I should have applied for this, And the money actually came. It was like we signed when we got into program. We were one of the quickest. Negotiated, we signed, send your account number, got it, bam. It was there. I sat there, I looked at it, and I was like, wow, this is super. So these are some of the, I like to call them perks. And you now add other perks that you get, like technology perks, AWS perks that we get, access to talent. We were introduced to different talent networks where we were able to hire a very excellent content person who works with us today. And once we close our funding round, we're going to retain her. So there's a lot that we were able to get. And this is something that, it's very difficult to get an equity investment type of early stage, especially very early stage, where you have low traction and low MRR, monthly recurring revenue, and get this kind of support. So that's something that SWG brings to the table. I didn't know anybody at SWG. Just filled the form, applied, got a call, had the meetings, and voila, we're here today.
Oh, thank you. It's like I'm looking at you're talking, and all 3 of us are like, damn, that's awesome. Should apply to this program. Like, you can get. You're convincing us to apply.
Yeah, you should. And I forgot to even say it, because when you ask questions, I was just writing these points down. The cohorts, the teams that we connect with, the other teams that are in the network, we relate a lot. They have, so for example, we were chatting today, and one of the team members was saying, or one of the other startups was saying, oh, I'm going to start my fundraise. And I'm like, oh yeah, I spoke to one investor, and he said he saw you guys and mentioned that he's interested in investing in you, and that person, yes, they invested in us, but they saw that and said, hey, so these are and apart from that, the experiences. Apart from talking to the mentors, you talk to other companies, other startups in the space, because all of us we're not directly competing with each other. So when the SWG has a way of selecting the entire cohort, they select companies that are similar in terms of the vision of where they're going, and they're able to match them together, and they are, once you're able to connect and work with each other, you learn a lot. So for example, when we were dealing with our Facebook marketing, for example, after speaking to Patrick and a few people, we talked to Georgie of Culture and said, hey, Georgie, how are you doing this? And he's like, this, you can do this and that. And he may even come back and say, have you thought about this? You know, and these are things that we never thought about and were able to get. So the benefits go beyond money and just the network. It's I mean, the expert network, the alumni network of startups it's big, and there's a Slack channel. You know, I mean, there's just so much that can be done with it.
Thank you so much. And yeah, this is what I wanted to mention, that the Petra also emphasized that it doesn't. So we have the program, and it doesn't stop there. You even though you finish the program, the aftercare continues. Startup Wise Guys team works with you, but even more, you get to work not only with the batch that you were so close apart for these like 5 months, but you get 250 other startups with different kinds of experiences, different kinds of knowledge that you kind of get to tap into and ask for help. We are slowly nearing the end. So a reminder, Josef also asked, how can you apply? You see a link in this stream. So startupwiseguys.com/SaaS Africa. Go there, click the apply button, fill in the form. And then we will take it from there. And actually, what I wanted to, if anyone wants to ask another question, you can still do it. But to wrap it up, I wanted to give a final word to Darja to go again over what are the requirements. I see Mary also asking. So what are the main criteria that we are looking at, and what you also need to reconsider when you apply? Yeah, Darja, maybe you can remind that again.
Happy to. So just to recap and also add upon what was said, we are looking for technological startups working mainly in B2B SaaS, B2B direction, sometimes B2B2C, as Petra mentioned as well. And we are looking for 2 or more founders in a team, because as Ibrahim mentioned, the business doing thing is very hard. Going through intense acceleration program is hard. Put those 2 together. You need support and help, and also an extra head to help you brainstorm and actually figure out in what direction you need to go. And we are looking for startups who have working product and first paying customers. This is also because throughout the whole program, we accelerate sales, and technically you need to have product to sell. And we are targeting 5 countries in Africa, the English-speaking countries. Petra might help me on that, but it's Rwanda, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and the 5th one I'm always forgetting.
So
it's also trying to figure out.
No, don't worry. It's mainly 5: Ghana, Nigeria, yes, Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda. Still, yes, if there is a startup situated not in one of these countries and really fits and wants to work with us, and we are also happy, it's not a problem. We will manage. But if you ask us, those are our focus areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yep. Go.
And after you apply, you go through the due diligence process. So it starts with us evaluating application and figuring out if we can help you. And then the next steps are the pitch day. Usually this is for us to get to see you and get a closer look at what you're doing. During that, we ask you to present your business, and then we ask whatever questions we have left. And after that, with the startups who are eligible and we can see the potential of us helping, we proceed with a deeper due diligence. We take a look at your tech as we invest into the technological startups. So everything is right there and you're actually ready to scale and start sales. when you start getting all of those customers, your tech will not crash. And also we take a look at your business side, at your team and your future plans as well. And then we also discuss the negotiate the deal as we are investing. And between the due diligence process and the program and the pitch day, we also have the Pre-Accelerator Program. This is where we actually help you. This is equity free, so we provide knowledge and basically we make you work, actually focus on your business and provide the needed knowledge to do it in a better way. And at the end of all of that process, we also have Selection Bootcamp, where we usually invite about 10 startups. Throughout the whole process, we plan to have 3 to 4 bootcamps, so that means about 30 to 40 startups will go for that. And out of those 30, 40, we will select best 10 to 12 who will get to participate in the acceleration program that comes together with investment. That's it. Thank you.
And Ibrahim has a question. What if an applicant actually gets rejected? Maybe now, can they apply again or something? Yep.
For sure, with most, when we say this is not the right time, we don't reject them and forget. We actually keep in touch and we keep all of the potential good startups for the upcoming programs. And then we do reach out because we do remember all of you guys. And we do reach out with the offer for the next program if we see that you are actually a good fit for that. So if you've been rejected, don't get too upset. There is still future, as we have explained why we might reject and why it might not be the right time for you to go for acceleration program. This is why we might say, okay, let's stay in touch and in 6 months we will talk again, because as you're getting feedback, you also know what you need to improve to get into the accelerator later again. And Ibrahim is a good example of the startup who was rejected but actually got accelerated at the end.
And we are so happy having him in the family.
Very much
we
so.
are.
Thank you. I mean, for me, again, like I said, I don't deal with rejection very well. But over the years, I mean, especially the last 1 year, it's part of the process, and I've learned a lot with that. I mean, I posted something on LinkedIn the other day saying that another day, another rejection, and the life of a startup founder. It wasn't posted in a sad way. It's just like, okay, we got rejected, on to the next. It's the same thing, because for us, after we got rejected, we made a lot of progress between the time we got rejected and got somewhere. We got a co-founder, got a second co-founder, and it just continued evolving. And that is something that I know that Darja and co always keep tabs on. So by the time the next application comes, they see the progress that you as a startup has made. So I do want to still re-emphasize that, because you don't make it at this point does not mean that in 6 months' time that you apply again, that the situation will be completely different. So I just wanted to chip that in. Thank you.
So yeah, on this note, don't wait too long. Go to our website, find the SaaS Africa page, hit that apply button, apply, and then you will get to talk to Darja and her team, and then to Petra and everything. And then you can also reach out to our alumni. That Ibrahim is also, I know that he's already receiving a lot of questions, but it is possible. And thanks to everyone who listened. If you have any more questions, Wise Guys, all social media channels are also open for you to ask more. Application deadline, hard stop, is January 15, but apply now, because the sooner you start talking to us, the sooner you also get feedback, the sooner you get to get more insight into what you are doing and how you will move forward. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. thank you to all three of you. Thank you, especially Ibrahim, for sharing your experience. And as I promised, let's wrap this up with the sustainability movie. So you will get to hear from other startups, and you will get to see what is the work-fun balance at Startup Wise Guys. So thanks, everyone, and see you soon somewhere else. Bye.
All right, everybody ready?
Wait, I think we missed.
Hi, my name is Alexa and I'm the MD of the badge. My brightest memory of the badge is connected to the Progress Day, when teams were supposed to share a little bit of the personal information before the official pitch, and the most serious person of this badge takes the guitar and starts singing.
So there was this Friday meeting with the startups, and for some reason, all of us decided to wear hats on that day. A psychologist was supposed to join us half an hour later, and when she did, she quite quickly understood that she's in the right place.
SWG has been fun. It's been interesting, it's been crazy.
The thing that we learned is how to do a lot of things at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Just like this.
I met a lot of friends, a lot of mentors, a lot of great people, but my favorite memory is Ringi's dance video.
During one of the first kind of remotely held parties that we had a magician over that was doing some crazy magical tricks over Zoom. All of the batch members watching him, laughing, bonding, like that image will always stick with me. That was the day we kind of started bonding as a batch.
I would say the team from Wise Guys made it greatly, that we were engaged, we got a lot of feedback, we got a lot of cool stuff, and we had a nice community.
Our journey has been pretty much like a Chasing Unicorns movie. We learn something, or we find out something new, and then we pivoted. Despite having 100% online accelerator, we still feel very connected with our batch members, and the dance battles were awesome, and we're definitely gonna miss you guys.
Probably in the moments like this, it's already a little bit past midnight, preparing myself for tomorrow's pitch session.
But perhaps the best memories are the times when we were helping each other out and working together as a team.
Awesome to work with other startup founders. You get to see other problems. Everybody is a little bit different stage. We loved it and we were successful. So join Startup Wise Guys.
Amazing journey for us, and I would say how we supported each other and how we were like a family every time we had a news, when we had a success, and when we had the investor news. Thank you so much.